So for the first time in a very long time, it looks like we can actually be getting at least one Star Wars game a year for at least the next 6 years, which to me is absolutely mind-boggling, as we went through a long period in the, I'd say, late 2000s to mid 2010s where it was just nothing but, you know, Star Wars game here, there's this one, and I don't think people got bored of them, but they just stopped making them, oddly enough. Admittedly, they did start to go downhill the more and more that were put out, but there were some really cool ones that were scrapped, like the Boba Fett 1313 game that just had some gameplay footage leaked of it. Like, if you see this thing, it looks nuts, and it looks like it was way ahead of its time, which is really cool. It does make you wonder of what we could be getting or what we might have gotten at one point, but all that is in the past, as we currently have 8 Star Wars projects in the works with a bunch of different companies. It's not just EA, as EA's exclusivity deal ends next year. We are less than 2 years away from EA no longer holding sole licensing purpose for these games. So let's just talk about the slate of games that we can actually see starting this year. It is already confirmed that we are getting LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga this year, hopefully, as I do have to kind of cross my fingers and hope for this one, as they've only delayed it like 60 times at this point. I'd be surprised if this game ever even drops, but that's not the point. The point is that it's supposed to come out April, and we also have leaks. Of course, leaks aren't the most concrete evidence, but when they're coming from credible sources, you kind of do have to listen. There are currently reports and speculation going about that we can get a Fallen Order sequel as early as of this year, which would make sense, as this is essentially EA's last year with the rights to Star Wars. So it would make sense that they kind of do want to go out on a bang. However, it could be coming out early 2023, as we don't exactly know the official date of when that contract does end, but I would assume they would want to try and at least get it out before the deal is up. Now, Respawn is holding most of the Star Wars development games for EA currently. They've also announced that they are working on a FPS game, which is interesting. We could be getting something like another Bounty Hunter game that we saw for the PlayStation 2, or maybe like a Republic Commando kind of thing. But this is coming from Respawn, who is very popular for FPS games, insert right here. So they kind of have it down to a pact. They are very good at what they do, so I do 100% trust them to make a very solid Star Wars FPS game. And they're also working on a Star Wars strategy game, so think of something kind of similar to XCOM, where it's turn-based, you're making choices, there's a bit of story going on. And again, those 3 are all going to be under Respawn, even though the last one is a collaboration effort with BitReactor. But those are just the ones they've laid out. Now, the FPS game and the strategy game are going to be coming out much later. However, the Fallen Order 2 sequel, we are expected to see maybe late this year, if not early next year. More than likely before the deal ends with Disney. So we already have one confirmed for this year, Skywalker Saga. We have one possibly for the end of this year or early next year, which would make 2 years running. We'd have one. Star Wars Hunters is not a game that most fans are probably going to take to. It's currently going to be like a mobile game, or it's also going to be on the Switch. It's a third-person action arena game. Don't know how many Star Wars fans are going to actually enjoy it, but I mean, hey, it's there if you want it. So that one is more than likely going to drop. I believe it's supposed to be this year, as it was delayed already, but we could get this delayed again until next year. I wouldn't be surprised. So first 2 years covered. I would expect the strategy game to probably come out 2024. I'm going to assume that's going to be the one that comes out first, as it's going to be a little bit easier than doing a full FPS game that has some story to it. But after 2024, things seem to get really interesting when you actually look at it. You still have the Kotor Remake that's already been announced and confirmed. You have the Ubisoft Star Wars project that we know absolutely nothing about. I assume this one's the furthest away. You also have Star Wars Eclipse, which has already been announced, and you've seen some, not gameplay footage, but you've seen some in-game footage. That one being set in the High Republic era. I do expect that one to launch alongside the new movies that they are making for it, or possibly even the new shows for the High Republic. So that way there will be some hype generated for that game. But I mean, after all, it is a Star Wars game. You don't really need much hype. It kind of just sells itself, honestly. And that's where everything gets interesting. It's after you hit 2024, everything just kind of goes up in the air. You don't know. We haven't seen much of KOTOR. We've seen more of Eclipse than KOTOR and Ubisoft's game. So just for the sake of the video, let's just say we get Star Wars Eclipse in late 2024. Okay, that does seem kind of feasible, as they do have something, as we've seen some in-game footage, so it's not in the pre-productions. If you want to, you can even push that back to 2025 and then do the FPS game coming from Respawn for 2024. You can essentially just flip them vice versa, because I can see them both coming out at either time. It would just make too much sense. So you're covered until 2025. Now you still have the KOTOR remake, and you have Ubisoft Star Wars project that we know very little about. The only thing we have from Ubisoft's project is it is an open world narrative driven game coming from the guys that make The Division. These guys are excellent at world building, but I don't want this game to be like games as a service, kind of like Anthem or Destiny. I'm fine with it being multiplayer as long as they can do it the right way, which for this game, I'm not sure how they would be able to do it, but we'll just have to wait and see, of course. Honestly, we'll probably see the Kotor remake probably 2025, maybe 2026, and then after that, we'll probably see the Ubisoft project. I'm very, very hopeful that these games all come out much sooner, but we have been waiting almost 10 years for a new Skyrim game, so it honestly would not surprise me if we had to wait quite some time for a good, solid Star Wars game to release. Hopefully, out of all these, the Kotor remake is the one closest to being finished, as I do know they are changing a lot of the actual game itself. I do believe they are leaving most of the story, but they are changing a lot of the gameplay mechanics, as it doesn't really age well, and it doesn't actually play well in today's day and age, sadly. So I am curious what they are going to do with that. So it does look like we are set for at least the next 4 years. But being as some of these we don't know hardly anything about, I would push that out further to at least the next 6 or 7 years of nothing but Star Wars games. That doesn't even count what's already in production that we don't know about. There's been leaks going around about a Mandalorian game. There's just so much to take in if you're a Star Wars fan, especially one that plays video games. And it's honestly going to be a great couple of years for us as we just see all the new stuff keep going. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Which one of these are you most excited for? And which one do you think will come very, very last? Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.